Now I'm very excited to welcome back Chicago radio legend and the one and only Mike North from ESPN 1000. You can follow Mike on X at North2North. Mike Summers here, and the time is right for dancing in the streets, my friend. And here we are. Baseball's rolling. We got the NFL coming up. It's right around the corner. Oh, I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
Did you just call me Mike Silver?
No, come on.
Yeah, you just called me Mike Silver.
Mike
That's
Gold,
okay.
if anything.
Yeah. It's good to see you, Kiev. And I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot of stuff going on in Chicago right now. The football season, baseball season, stadiums, baskets, you name it. There's always something going on. Just like in your neck of the woods, sports is the best. It's the best. It's as busy as an off season could ever be, as far as not playing or not being involved in football.
Absolutely. Chicago is the best summer city, just for everyone wondering out
yeah.
there. I always enjoyed my summers going down to Wrigley, going down the lakefront. Just the town itself, especially if you're a young adult, there's no place better when the feeling in the air in summer is there. So I'm glad you're getting to experience that, Mike. And what we've been experiencing is a lot of baseball here and a lot of ups and downs with the Cubs. Before we get into that, what do you think about this ABS strike zone so far? You have any thoughts on it?
Well, it's become a game within the game. I mean, people now looking forward to it. There's been like 1,700 or more calls overturned, but there's been a lot of umpires that have looked good in this. I thought the umpires would look bad, but the players a lot of times are calling the batters or the pitchers or the catchers, and they're getting screwed around. The umpires have been very, very good with this constant attention on the strike zone. I will say this, and I mean this. Greg Maddux might not have won 300 games if they had the ABS, because he had the biggest. And I told him, I said, Greg, you had the biggest strike zone ever in baseball. I think he knew that, but he didn't admit to it.
No,
but if there was ABS, there would have been a lot more walks instead of pitches that batters couldn't reach. It would have been hilarious.
Well, absolutely. I find it interesting that, batters are much more reluctant to challenge than the catcher. The catcher can really tell. So it almost feels like it gives the advantage a little bit to the pitcher and the catcher and the defense. I'm wondering if that's affecting the totals a little bit. But either way, I kind of love it. And I think that it's working so good that they'll probably take it away.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't want to have a drawn out process like 75 or 80% of replay is. This ABS is quick. I think the 2-challenge system is enough. I know people will push for more, and they'll push eventually to try to get every pitch judged. They almost want to get rid of the umpire, just have him back there just to stand for plays at home plate or anything else. But I think the human element is still very important here. I think if you run out of challenges, tough. I think that you run out of challenges because you were wrong, and you should be punished for that. So I think it's a good rule. I like what they've done.
Yes, I absolutely do too. And I think, when they move into the actual strike zone, being that you still need an umpire there for, swings, check swings for calls at the plate, seeing the box, you still need an ump there. So people don't think this is getting rid of the umpire. It's not, but I think it's a great situation now that, you can have digital assist you and, make things more right. And absolutely, people think, you're taking the human element out of it. Well, I think the human element's always there. That's the competitors. You don't need the other human, making mistakes. It's a tough job, and that's one thing. When I criticize the umpires, a lot of times I have to say, look, I mean, it's the job that was set in front of them that's just so almost impossible, especially in the NFL, and emotions can get involved. And
well, what's amazing? I didn't know, Kip, that even if a sliver of the ball hits the strike zone, it's a strike. So in other words, if like less than 1% of the ball hits the line, that's a strike. So the strike zone almost ends up wider than we thought, because
it is.
Yeah, it's wider than we thought, and that really is an advantage for the pitchers. And I really believe that the batters, some of them are coming up with this idea in their head. Boy, if I have strike 2 and there's a close pitch, I don't want to embarrass myself. And sometimes, I mean, the Cubs did it one game in the first inning. They were out of challenges by the third inning. I don't
Yeah.
believe down the line that will be the way that it's used.
Yeah, you can't use them unless it's close at the end, in my
Yeah.
opinion. If you're getting blown out, or maybe if you're up by a bunch and it's early, you can do it. But yeah, you don't do it until the end in a close game, in my opinion. And soon enough, it'll only be the ABS strike zone where you don't have to worry about it. But you're right about the sliver thing, and I wonder, you can always maybe make the strike zone a little smaller. I know the plate's the same size, but I mean, let's just say that most games are going under 7.5 runs and there's not enough action in baseball, blah, blah, blah. There's always adjustments that can be made. But let's pivot to the Cubs, my man.
Okay.
What the hell is going on with Dansby Swanson? Now, I've been a critic of his for a while. From a batting perspective, I understand shortstop's a very tough position, but your shortstop also has to be a leader with his hitting, and the man is just faltering. And it started way early last year. It's been going on and on. It just keeps getting worse and worse. I know he's got a family now, and I know what it's like to have young kids. It ain't easy, man. It is not easy. But I mean, do the Cubs have to make a move or do something here?
Well, Console has been hesitant. Console is the worst bad signing that we have so far. He's the second highest paid manager in baseball at $8 million. Only the Dodger manager makes $100,000 more. They brought him over here like he was John McGraw. They brought him over here like he was Casey Stengel. They brought him over here like he was Bobby Cox. He's Tom Trebelhorn with talent. That's what he is. A Milwaukee manager, Tom Trebelhorn, who had a 429 and 399 record with Milwaukee, came here to Chicago, signed him to a 2-year deal. His first year, he was fired midway through. And there's not much difference between these two guys. The only problem with Console was his former coach, Pat Murphy, is making him look foolish as far as who's got the culture, who's got the team, who's got everything buttoned down. He was a heavy for Console when Console was in Milwaukee. He doesn't have one of those here. Console's not the type of guy that can rally a slumping team, as we've seen in the second half last year when they went through it for a month. And now, after they got off to a 23 start, one of the worst teams in baseball and one of the worst offensive teams in baseball. So he's going to start walking the plank at the end of the year. But he's probably, I'll give you a good comparison. He's a mild Leo DeRocher. Sits in the dugout, spits out pumpkin seeds, doesn't hit and run, doesn't juggle the lineup, plays the same for the most part, 8 guys every day. And if you folks aren't familiar with Leo DeRocher, the Cubs had a comfortable 8-game lead in July, kept marching the 8-9 guys out there, one of the hottest numbers of all time when the Cubs did not play night baseball, and they wilted, and the Mets played like 690 baseball, and the rest is history.
Well, this reminds me, and I told you about my run-ins with Pat Murphy down here in Arizona playing club baseball.
Sure,
great guy,
good one.
Great guy. So it almost feels like he's the Kyle Shanahan to Dan Quinn back in the Falcons. Kind of like maybe he was the real guy running the show here, and of course the accolades went to the coach when maybe it was all Pat Murphy.
Well, you know what it is? You know what it is, Kiev? It's like if somebody messes up under Murphy, he'll yell at you right in the dugout. He'll pull you out of the lineup. He'll hold you accountable. Console, $8 million. Guys loping to first base on pass balls, not even running hard. Guys Cadillacing in the second. There was a pass ball the other day. Bregman, who's been so far a huge disappointment. Ball got 3 feet away from the catcher, and he stood there. Saw that it got away far enough, and he should have been running. Then he started running. That's culture.
That is culture, and you worry now about Console, and obviously our ears are up about him, and that's a thought. But is that part of Dansby's struggles? Because the original question.
Well, yeah, I was wrong for not even bringing him up, but the problem is the whole team's struggling. The bottom line is Nico Horner had his worst May in history, and that guy just signed a 6-year deal. Same with Armstrong. Armstrong's starting to come out of it, but your best athlete is supposed to be your shortstop. Stops for the most part everything in the field, but they're all swinging heavy bats and feeling the heat. Dansby Swanson tries to hit a home run every time he's up. He'll never hit 30. I mean, as far as in the future. He's a 20, 25 home run guy. And you got guys like Ian Happ and him, all of them swing for the homer because
when the wind's blowing in. The wind's
Yeah.
blowing in, and they're trying to hit home. I mean, this has
That's
been
right.
the Cubs. This has been the Cubs since I've known them.
Of
They're
course.
swinging like pigs when the wind's blowing in. The other just hitting for contact, and they're beating us. We score 1 run. Of course, when the wind's blowing out, we score 15 runs.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like sure. But for Christ's sake, make an adjustment. You let the Athletics beat you 2-1 just the other day after all this. You know, I mean, I this has been my frustration with the Cubs forever.
You know what? If you want to swing for the homer, you got to be a Sosa. You got to be a Santos. You got to be a Banks. You got to be a Kingman. You got guys 1 through 9 uppercutting the ball with the stupid launch angle crap, trying to hit the homer in a ballpark that down the line is one of the biggest, 354 down each line. Okay, so you better hit it in the alley. But like you said, the wind's blowing in, they swing the same way. And Milwaukee is different. They put the bat on the ball. They swing for base hits. They play they play quiet baseball. In other words, you don't hear nothing. The manager runs the show, get out there, play the game, and shut up.
Well, what should the Cubs do now, man? I mean, you got the Cardinals coming full force again. You got the Brewers there. It's like 2 big rivals are just, sticking in our face. I kind of knew that the Reds were going to cool off, and the Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh's not there yet. I don't know they have schemes, but they can't just make it with one guy. I mean, the Cardinals and Brewers coming full force. What can the Cubs do now?
They just got to keep playing and hope that something turns around. But they don't have the manager, like I said, that can rally a team. Here's the difference. You can be an analytics guy. You can be a strategist guy. But at some point, what makes the great managers, the Earl Weavers, the Tommy Lasordas, the Bobby Coxes, they get in your face when you're hurting, and they get in your face to keep it going when you're hitting. And they jack everybody up. Tommy Lasorda could make a cockroach feel like an elephant, whether he got done talking to him. Counsell doesn't have that.
Yeah, absolutely right. He certainly doesn't. Well, that's the Cubs' problem, and now they're going to have a very competitive vision here to try to make it.
I've been a Cub and Sox guy. I'm more of a Sox fan, and they're playing good baseball right now. They're winning today again, even though they've lost their guy Murakami. But the Cubs have always gotten in their own way. And, I mean, even in the 2016 year, they almost blew it. And, that was their one. I've been hearing it's only April or May, or it's early since 1961. And we got one World Series to show for it. So for the people that are telling everybody it's still early, you're 5-6 back already.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse.
It only can get worse. And congrats to the Sox winning 8-0 right now against the Twins.
Yep.
But what about them White Sox? Can they shock the whole American League and make the playoffs?
Yes, the division is weak. I never thought they had a chance. They've had 3 100 loss years in a row, and all of a sudden, Minnesota can't beat them. Detroit is hurting. Cleveland doesn't scare you. You got Ramirez and a bunch of other guys. They've never gotten better. Nobody took the Sox seriously. Will Venable, I didn't want him because I thought he turned the Mets down, which was smart, to take this job. In the Sox Club Series, outmanaged Counsell, especially on the Sunday. Yeah. Quiet, just like I was talking about with Milwaukee. But I want you one night, folks, on this great show. If you got the Cubs and Sox on at the same time, direct TV or baseball package, when the White Sox got to get a hit, like a guy like Sam Antonacci, young guys that nobody knows, when they get a base hit, they'll run the bag and go 10 feet, trying to go for second and then run back. Watch the Cubs. Base hit, like Bush, base hit to center, runs to the bag and stops. No turns, nothing. Bregman doesn't hustle to first on pass balls. Guys don't call guys off the ball. Dead dugout. That Venerable has instilled a quiet calmness, quiet baseball, pick up the ball and get it done. And right now, the Murakami signing is out for 5 to 6 weeks. I laughed at it. I go, they think every Japanese guy's Otani. He's got more homers than Otani. Got like 20. What a signing by Chris Getz.
Absolutely, man. And these White Sox full force, only like 3 or 4 to 1 now to win the division. Might even still be the value there because they're 40 to 1 before the season started.
Pat Murphy, this might help you, Kev, if you want to put down 100 and win 400 or 1,000. Pat Murphy played the Sox in April. He said after the third game, we had our way, but this team's coming. And he said that in April.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, and if there's anyone to believe right now, it is definitely Pat Murphy, the manager of the year. Let's pivot to football. Here we are, June. Football 3 months away, really. I'm very excited for some football. Obviously, we still got to get through, summer, which we don't want to rush too much. We love the 4th of July. I think after the 4th of July, it starts slowing down. But here we are, MC North. And I got to tell you, I did a prospectus on the NFC North. I kind of did a deep dive on each team. And I'm not going to lie to you, the Bears overachieved. They were my biggest difference between their actual wins and their Pythagorean wins. The Lions, I don't know what to say about the Lions, man. That's the biggest team I'm worried about is the Lions. The Vikings I feel are a little underrated. And the Packers are the Packers. I mean, with LaFleur, I think he's an underrated coach. He just doesn't make great decisions always in the playoffs. But what's your thoughts on the NFC North here? Who wins it this year?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ben Johnson was phenomenal last year. One of the best coaching jobs I've ever done this side of Kurt Signetti. I mean, he basically did with the Bears almost what Signetti did with Indiana. Nobody gave him a shot. And all of a sudden, they're winning 5-6 games in the fourth quarter. And clutch gene by Williams is unbelievable. We'll see if that can hold up. I don't think you'll ever see a year like this again. Detroit, if they don't make the playoffs again, Campbell might be fired.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think
they finish third or fourth. Let's say they have a bad year. This is a team of pedigree, and all of a sudden you're struggling and you lost your coordinators and you haven't recovered since. Now, go ahead.
No. He reminds me of Ed Orgeron and even a little mix here. Yeah. Like a guy that needs like great offensive coordinator and defense coordinator. He can put it together as a head coach, but he's not like Kyle Shanahan that can call plays, right? He's not like Sean McVay. He's not like Ben Johnson. He's not like these guys. He needs those really strong coordinators.
Yeah, but where the Bears have a guy finally in my lifetime, and we never had one that you actually can say the head coach is to get credit or blame because he's holding the card. The problem with the Bears is they've ruined the whole offseason for everybody because we made the playoffs. It should have been all good stuff. Instead, once again, the Bears and the politics of Illinois, both sides have messed this up. Now they're looking at a place that nobody else wants, that nobody else would move to. Out in Hammond, it's been there forever. We've had businesses flee Chicago. Nobody's gone to Hammond, but now they're trying to pull what I would compare back in the day to what Pontiac did with the Detroit Lions, and trying to woo them with free stuff. Where the Indiana taxpayer is going to pay for 2 football teams now, one in northern Indiana and one in southern. Number one, I wonder what Indianapolis thinks about this. Nobody's heard from them. Number 2, they'll never build an entertainment complex. And number 3, they're years away. And yet the NFL says after 105 years at Wrigley Field and Soldier Field, you guys got to get out of there. It's not suitable for football. Yet they'll be sitting there for another 5-6 years. Hurry up. We were at Wrigley Field for 55 years and Soldier Field since 1970. We got to do something now. It's all a bunch of crap. The Bears put a stupid deadline on themselves. And if I'm the Bears, I'm wheeling and dealing, and I would have had shovels. They don't want to pay $1 out of every 10 to Cook County, which Arlington Heights, where Arlington Racetrack is, which is bigger than SoFi, has 5 million people. Cook County. Lake County is 500,000. Only the Bears would say, let's go to the environmentally unsound, because there's been steel mills, all sorts of environmental problems. Let's take our season ticket holders who have been with us, some of them for 50, 60 years and more through generations. And you know what I hear? I hear some people saying, well, if they don't want the tickets, let them give it up. You can't be more tone deaf than that. You can't be more tone deaf than telling Chicago Bears season ticket holders 50 or 60 years of generations. Well, if you don't want them, give them up. Very, very, very sad some people are using that. The Bears, I don't think the New York Giants fans never wanted them to move to the Meadowlands, and people keep using that as an example. You want me to give you some examples? Oakland, St. Louis, Detroit. You want more? We got them. Baltimore. And then they have the 75-mile rule. Now, you know what that is, Kiev?
No.
Go ahead.
No, I don't. I don't know what it is.
It's the territorial right of a team. Okay. So the Bears are saying Chicago is their domain. They have a 75-mile rule, except one thing. It's only for broadcast rights, but the NFL's tried the perm pen. Perfect example. Washington Redskins moved to Landover, turned into a farce, just like this might, and Pontiac did. They moved. The NFL promised them, nobody's going to get in your way. Cleveland Browns decided to move. Art Modell moves to Baltimore, 38 miles away. Washington loses its fan base. Baltimore takes over the state, and now Washington's moving back to Washington. So this nonsense, because Oakland and San Francisco are 8 miles away from each other, and they coexisted for years. There was an 8-mile day. So it's going to get messy. There's going to be lawsuits because Art Modell threatened to sue the NFL, and they backed off.
They did. And Modell, obviously very successful with the Ravens, has Super Bowl wins. That is was like the biggest success story of moving a team for sure. And
well, how about the LA teams? We heard for 35 years, we need a team. We need a team. Because of all the TV money and because of all the extra money they get now from streaming and everything, you could have an empty stadium. The Bears want to hold a Super Bowl, okay? But they don't want to hold it here. But they want to get Hammond, who's like 45 minutes from Chicago. They want the overflow. That's how little our government is. Instead of actually putting up a beautiful bona fide stadium somewhere in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, there is so much to it, and it brings in so many tourists and so much clout to your city, and that's why cities pay for it. People complain about it. And look, I think there needs to be a partnership.
You fly into O'Hare and you go to Hammond. You fly into O'Hare, you got a 47-mile drive.
Yeah, it's not.
So and where are they going to go? Midway's 27 miles away, and then you got the Gary Airport. Okay, where 5 planes land a day. I mean, enough.
It's far from over, Mike. It's far from over. And I just don't think Kevin Warren even had the inkling that this could go like this. And he is
he's been the worst.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah. And we can do a whole podcast.
Both sides are bad. But Kevin Warren, I know how you feel about him. Wait a minute. This guy was dealing with Chicago for a year. That was over. And he didn't realize he's an outsider. Yeah. He's over his head. He didn't hire a COO, chief operating officer, for Arlington Park for a year. They haven't taken a traffic survey. They sat on their hands they bought this for 5 years. But you know what's going to happen? If they move to Hammond, I promise you, from Chicago to Wisconsin border, we're going to get an AFC team eventually. Because the Bears are going to give up. If they move to Indiana, they're going to give up a huge chunk of their so-called territorial rights.
Yeah, that's interesting, and we'll see when that comes to fruition. I still think it's far from over, but bringing up the LA Rams, they just got maybe the best player in the NFL with the Myles Garrett trade. I mean, the Browns are just. Here's the thing.
Look at you.
The Browns are they're the best farm system for a lot of teams. Let's just say. I mean, this Browns team is pathetic, but at the same time, I mean, at first I was, it hit me with shock. It's like the Browns, but the trade, I guess, in theory, I don't think was a terrible trade. The terribleness is the Browns had to do it. The fact that you had to give up maybe eventually the best defensive end, edge rusher, whatever, in all of history. he could become that because that's how bad of a man he is. I watch his plays. He is ridiculous. And just the fact that you had to give him up, even though you got a lot back, just the fact you had to give him up. And I think the Rams kind of smelled something wrong with Jared Verse too. So I don't know, man. And Jared Verse is going to be commanding some money soon too, because he's entering year 3. So it's not like you can really count that as that part of it as a win. But I mean, dude, what do you think? Which side benefits?
Well, I'm hearing Aaron Donald wants to come back now because why didn't you want to come back when Stafford was still there? Why'd you leave? I mean, if you're coming back because of Myles Garrett, I'll just tell you, Myles Garrett is a stud. I miss the days.
Well, he thinks the double teams will be less on him now. And I guess that's very possible, but
it's possible. But you'll still have to double team him at times. They may leave him back in, but there's nothing you can do about him. Look, I saw them all. Nitschke, Butkus, Lanier, old school. You had to stay with the team you were on. I find it revolting when a team, and as bad as they are, offers a guy $50 million a year, and all of a sudden he's enlightened that the organization stinks after he signed it. So now he gets away, and I don't get to hear the crying anymore. But I'm of the effect that it would have been nice for them to try to get a better team. But the nonsense, for one time, I say to myself, they paid this guy, but you know what? You got to get out of there. I don't think, like, for instance, I don't think the Greek Freak should leave Milwaukee. Michael Jordan didn't leave the Bulls. I don't think every time a superstar gets paid millions and millions of dollars over everybody else, the writers, most of them who are weak, need, you got to get out of here. The rest of the team sucks. We paid you to make us better. And all I hear is everybody wants to get out of any bad situation instead of stick it out. So, but Myles Garrett, Cleveland has proven they're inept. They have no clue. Look what they did with the quarterback situation. Even when they got rid of Flacco, I go, what are you doing? He was your best quarterback at one time. So I just say good for Myles Garrett, but I would tell everybody this. Everybody wouldn't shut up about Micah Parsons last year. He got hurt in Green Bay.
Yeah, that trade is ungradable. Yeah, the Browns at least make the Bears not look as bad just because the Browns are there.
But they're building the stadium, and they're actually solid about those plans because
that's
really those people. Most NFL teams got a lot of money. The Bears got to take a loan out to get $2 billion. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they got a team making that's worth about $8 billion.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like,
and they're worried about spending a buck. They're worried about spending a buck out of every 10 for property taxes. Are you kidding me? I would have been digging 2 years ago.
It's like that Tesla stock that was worth with the price earnings ratio was ridiculous because the stock was worth way more than your dividends in return, right? It's almost like owning the Bears. You say, oh, this is a $5 billion, $6 billion franchise. Well, it doesn't pay that much, so it's like it's hard for them to use the money.
A lot of the money is downtown and on the north side and in the north suburbs. Not all. The Chicago White Sox had a good series. They have to win for people to come. They're averaging 18,000 because people don't want to drive to 35th Street. Nice. Try going to another state. That's another 45 minutes away.
It'll be surrounded by other teams and their fans. That's what's going to happen if they move far away. I thought Arlington Heights would have made sense.
It's not over and it's perfect. And the Bears know it. That's why. Let me ask you something. If Hammond was the place, why haven't they signed?
It's a
why
threat.
Haven't they signed?
I think it's a threat. I'm not sold.
We'll see.
It's not.
So, only they're dumb enough to move.
Only they're dumb
enough to move. Only they're dumb enough to go where there's less people.
I agree. Give me a thought on every NFL division. It could be a play you made. I don't know if you made 8 plays yet, Mike. It's still early.
No.
But we already talked about the NFC North. Let's talk about the NFC South. This was the worst division in football. 8-win team made the playoffs. What's your thoughts about the NFC South?
They were thoughtless last year when they were all playing. I mean, people don't give the South too much credit to begin with. I mean, you got New Orleans. What do you got? Atlanta.
Carolina.
Yep. Yeah. Carolina, you don't know what they're going to do. They might have a digression year like the Bears might, because every year, 7 teams or 5 to 6 teams that made the playoffs the year before don't make it. I think you figure out, Kiev, try to find 5 teams that maybe made the playoffs last year that might not this year. The first team that comes to my mind, Okay, besides the Bears would be on that list. The Bears would be on that list. Jacksonville might be on that list. Teams that made the playoffs that won't. And the South, the South could have a surprise team. Who knows? Because
I'd
they've been doing some juggling.
Atlanta makes the playoffs plus 450. They win the division. That's what I think. They win the division. Atlanta, though, they got rid of Ricky. They got rid of Raheem Morris. I like the fact that they got rid of Raheem Morris.
And New Orleans. I mean, a lot isn't that the division nobody really cares about right now? I mean, the South.
It's been like that for a few years, you know.
Yeah.
And Carolina gave the Rams a hell of a run. They beat them in the regular season, screwed a lot of survivor plays out.
I agree.
And obviously that playoff game was way closer than people, remember 34-31 or something like that.
Yep.
It was very, very near. It's like the Bryce Young thing. It's like he's either really high or really low. I don't know. I like their draft. Any team can make it, but I like the value right now on them. What about the NFC East?
Value.
NFC East, you got the Giants taking a step forward, getting some injury guys back. You got the Eagles being the Eagles. The Cowboys, no D last year. They drafted a lot of D. And then you obviously have Washington that had the bad injury to the quarterback and fired Cliff Kingsbury. So Dan Quinn. God, dude.
Anyways, my favorites. Get rid of Hurts. 2-time Super Bowl quarterback. He doesn't throw a nice pass. I mean, Philadelphia fans are longing for. Last year, they were all over Hurts because A.J. Brown was crying. He wasn't getting the ball. Now, this is a malcontent who reads books on the sidelines, starts fights with teammates and coaches, like on the sideline during the playoffs against San Francisco, drops balls, had 78 catches. But the Eagles, to me, are stronger, having gotten rid of them, and the Patriots are stronger, having accepted them. Perfect. The Philadelphia Eagles are huge favorites to win the East. Dallas follows, and the rest of the teams. Huge. They got better because they got rid of the cancer. New England now is plus 125, plus 130 with Buffalo. So Drake May got that receiver that he didn't have last year, and maybe Brown comes through. But here's the pressure. Philadelphia is going to still make the playoffs without Brown. New England, they better make the playoffs, and anything less than winning the game in the playoffs, I think will be a stain on them and on Brown, and the Vrabel-Rossini situation will come up every single week if they have a bad year.
We'll get to the AFC East, but I will agree that the Eagles probably make the playoffs, but I think the Giants can take a step forward and make the playoffs right now at plus 250 to make the playoffs, not to win the division.
Oh,
playoffs. So I like that.
Wow, I got to tell you, Jackson Dart was so good when he was able to run last year. Mm-hmm. I want you to watch the last 4 or 5 games, folks, after the coaching staff and the media told him he got to stop running because he's already had a concussion or 2. Okay. He changed his game and he wasn't as effective. Correct. If he cannot run like he did for huge chunks and he's got to stay in the pocket, and you got the problems in the locker room with the nonsense from the linebacker and the players.
That's going to die off. That's going to die off. But here's the thing.
Think so?
Harbaugh had Lamar Jackson sliding and getting out of bounds and doing smart runs. That's kind of what I think is going to fix Dart. I agree. He got hit way too hard. And you know what? When he stopped running, he
didn't want to go slide out of bounds.
Yeah.
Remember, and McMahon never wanted. McMahon was told to slide out of bounds. It's in their nature not to, and it ended his career. I'm with you 100%. But let's say something about John Harbaugh. He won 1 Super Bowl, okay, and in the 4th quarter of the playoff game last year, forgot Derrick Henry, forgot about him.
Yeah.
And now
that was off. Was that Todd Monken or both? I was kind of both, I think.
Wait a minute. If you're the head coach and Peyton isn't in the game, you're going to notice it. He didn't notice it. He sat that kid. They lost the game. Nobody's lost more games in the 4th quarter of crunch time as a pretty good coach than John Harbaugh.
The best division in football, NFC West. What do you think about any thoughts about the NFC West?
Yeah, I think that they really improved themselves. If Stafford gets hurt, it's over. And Stafford, we remember last year he's got a bad back. He won't be able to walk. He won't be able to do this. And everybody said, "Oh, yeah, we better not take him." And then look what they did. I like San Francisco though too. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk because they got
Seattle.
Myles Garrett.
That's Seattle still. I mean, it's just loaded.
Yeah, Seattle's the forgotten winner of the Super Bowl. Think about this. But yet, I'll tell you why they're forgotten. Because of Darnold, people still don't believe in him, which is ridiculous. He did it in 2 different spots. And because all I'm hearing is Rams. It's like the Seattle. It's like they weren't even in the conference or in the division. All I'm hearing is Rams. Like this was a fluke. Sam Darnold is not a fluke, folks. I saw him do something I'd never seen. A quarterback do. Make the playoffs and have a great record with 2 different teams in their first year. In his first year,
blew my mind. AFC North. AFC North. What do we make of the AFC North this year?
Ugh. Cincinnati. Everybody keeps waiting for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's like my touch football team. We couldn't block, but we had 2 receivers that could run and a decent quarterback, and we lost because you got to have a full team. And now sometimes I just don't think they have a full team, and that there's something missing there. I love Joe Burrow, but he's an injury-prone quarterback now. Pittsburgh is going to be interesting because if they don't finish 500, everybody's going to go, how could you get rid of the head coach? Well, because the head coach used that as a rallying cry. Hey, you didn't win and make it to the playoffs. Yeah, but I was 9-8, or I was 8-8 back in the day. So, it's an interesting division. It's an interesting division.
It's very interesting. Joe Burrow deserves better than Zach Taylor, and it sucks that he's with him because I do think you just can't fix that offensive line, and I still think they didn't completely fix it, but I also am kind of down on the Steelers. I don't know what they doing getting McCarthy with Rodgers there. Don't they hate each other? What the hell happened there? I'm still scratching
when you're getting a check. You learn to like each other, but Rodgers is a tool anyway. He's a tool anyway. I mean, I feel uncomfortable when he's talking on video. I'm going, Jesus, what's with this guy? I'm not saying he's completely wrong about everything, but I like the fact he said after he's done with
football. He's just so nonchalant, man. He's just so nonchalant. He's just, and almost like he feels like everything's kind of below him. You get the feeling of when he's talking.
Well, that's how he is. Well, he's always blamed other players. I mean, I was all over years when he was in Green Bay.
He knows how to turn the media against people too. He knows how to do that.
Well, he threw people under the bus in Green Bay. I can't stand the guy. The bottom line is when you look at Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, they won 2 Super Bowls in 32 years of quarterbacking. They won 1 each. And I got to listen to this guy he's the greatest that ever threw the football. He's the greatest. No, he's not. He won 1 Super Bowl. He's 1 away from being what Marino was. So quit telling me how good he is, for God's sake. I know he's good, but
he made some great plays, but he also just did not take it over in the more important clutch times in the playoffs. That's my thought on him. I don't think
Tom Brady and him played at the same time, and I got to hear that Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback in football. But these people, they go to college, they come out, and then they go, I got to know the game.
No. Well, we're not making any Packer fans happy here. What about the AFC South, my man? This was interesting because I'm going to run away from this division because it wouldn't shock me to see the Colts or the Jaguars repeat or the Texans with that awesome defense. I feel like this division is the most head scratcher to me. And the Titans, I don't think they're good, but maybe they can take a step forward with Ward there. But I just think it's those 3 are all equal.
Yeah. You look at those teams, and it's another one sort of like another 1 or 2 of the divisions we talked about, like the NFC South. Another, snore fest. If you bet the games, it's okay, but if you don't on your direct TV, you might not stop at 1. You might not stop it unless they're playing your team or they're playing, or one of them's having a great year. In Tennessee, I love the quarterback, but he tries to do too much. I do like him. I think he's going to make a next step up, but the team has been bad. Vrabel got out of there, uh, and that started the signal. Uh, I just look at that division, and I think you could roll a dice, and anybody can win that division almost.
Agreed. AFC East, you touched on it. Now the Patriots had a historically easy schedule. They traded
the Bears.
That's true. Not as much as the Patriots. So the Patriots was crazy. Like they got every quarterback situation, like when they were injured, and their opponents. It was just ridiculous. Then they get Denver with no Bo Nix in the playoffs. It was just an amazing red carpet laid out for them, and now they're going to have a first place schedule, Mike. And all the drama going on with Vrabel, I think he survives. Just say, "Oh, I went to counseling," whatever. But the AFC East. I think Buffalo's still, the class. I think the Patriots could miss the playoffs and take a step back. I don't think A.J. Brown saves anybody. I think that guy's got attitude problems.
You know why I have a problem with Vrabel? Because for what he was doing, how could you do it that way? How could you be walking on a pier where there's no people and there's a pregnant woman in front of you 30 paces, that's Diane Rossini, and you're back 35, 40 feet, pretending you're not with her? I just think the judgment, the fact they won. See, if the Bears don't do what they did last year, then my guy isn't on the cover of Madden. And if Vrabel didn't do what he did last year, I believe he would have been close to being fired for this or suspended. That's
but
just
you
my
remember
opinion.
when he was on the Titans, he had that super easy schedule, and they were a fraudulent number 1 seed, and they got bounced immediately, like we thought, right? That was back, when he had success at the Titans. So he's the kind of bully guy that beats up on the bad teams, but I think that he could definitely get punched in the mouth when he fights the good teams. Yeah, I think I'm gonna look for a bet for the Patriots to miss the playoffs. Don't get me wrong; there's a lot of hate betting that's happening from people there, but I believe it. Just because they're doing it doesn't make it wrong. I think that's going to be a
nobody's ineligible to not make the playoffs that made it from the year before. I don't think there's too many. Seattle looks good, like the Super Bowl team. We got a couple other teams, but the rest of them are like, hey, like you said, some of these teams had the advantage of a weak schedule. And now you're looking at the schedule and you're going, oh my God. I mean, the Bears schedule, I go to Juggernaut, and the same thing goes for New England.
What about the AFC West? Now, obviously, everyone's saying Mahomes is back. But if you remember, before he got injured, they exactly weren't beating a lot of teams. They were pretty bad last year, but then he gets injured. Obviously, I mean, I love Mahomes, but I kind of feel like he's falling into that Dansby Swanson family time situation. Now, I'm not going to compare to Mahomes to Swanson.
I was just going to say, I was going to stop you, kid. I was going to stop you.
Hey, I will say Swanson did win a World Series. It wasn't because of him, but he did win a World Series. But, no, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying the situation. I feel like he's a family guy. He's getting a lot of, clout. He does commercials. It's like that fire, goes away from people when you get paid. That. I feel like that's going to happen a little bit.
It happens every day, but I don't think he's like that.
Okay.
I think.
So you like the Chiefs?
Yeah, I like him. If he gets, look, there's no outside of Brady. To me, he's the kind of guy that can take over an 8-8 football team from another quarterback and figure it out. He's always been able to figure it out. They have no receiver. They're in the playoffs. Their running back situation is bad. They're in the playoffs. They have too many injuries on defense. They're in the playoffs. What's the overall sense? They have Patrick Mahomes, who we would consider even now a top 5 quarterback.
Look at me. I'm trying to bait the best radio guy in Chicago history into falling into the trap of hating on Mahomes, and he just puts it right in my face.
Well,
I agree with you, man, too. I think that they're still the team to beat.
Look, Kelsey came back. Everybody was telling him he's going to get married, going to be wearing an apron, waiting on Taylor Swift and all this. You know what? They're fine. I was just at Kelsey last year, dropped a few balls, one into the end zone on a big night game. I remember came out of his hands, intercepted for a touchdown. So his mind wasn't completely on the game. I think it's like almost a revenge tour. You still got a very competent coach in Andy Reid. I think if you're in that division and you could pick any team to win, it's awfully hard no matter what. And I know they're getting older to get off the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mike, you're the best. Where can our listeners and viewers get your wonderful information and media?
Yeah, you know what? ESPN 1000. I have a show on Saturdays. If it's a Sox game in the afternoon, I'm on early. If it's on, I'm on after them. If the Sox game at night, I'm on before them. Look up. I also have my podcast up now. Having a good time picking games. My baseball last year, I was 40 games above 500. This year, I'm 500. Baseball's been very tough this year. Kicking ass in golf and everything else. Check out the Bar Room. I have a show called Somebody Big Just Died. We just featured Claude Lemieux and Dennis Hall as two guys that were big enough to be featured. It's on the Barroom Network. Check it out.
Make sure you guys check out Mike North at North to North at the Barroom Network. Mike, we'll be talking later this summer. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Love you, brother, and thank you. Take care of yourself.